in aspects of critical infrastructure in cybersecurity when this started time. And it was an amazing time and opportunity for me because I had the opportunity to learn the language. So I speak Russian. And Здравствуйте, как дела? And then
До свидания.
До свидания, that's right. Хорошо, отлично. But yeah, that was a really good experience.
And what did you learn in Russia? Let's go into the meat of what you are now specialist in, which is a very topical issue, which is cybersecurity. Are the Russians, what was your take on that? Are they really hacking the world?
Well, Russians are very capable. Right. So they knew that the cyberspace, it will be the space of influence. As you know, most of the countries depends heavily in critical infrastructure. Right. All our world is came in cyber. Our financial systems, our sovereignty, our jurisdictions, all those
our electoral systems.
Electoral systems.
Yeah. Our electors, people who are taking decisions based on what they see online.
Exactly. The fake news problem, the big data. I mean, Russia and China, they oversee these as the potential empowered of changing.
So they're certainly taking it seriously.
Of course, of course.
You know, I think all countries are trying to take it. I know Mexico has tried in the last 3 years to figure out a way to better protect their infrastructure. I teach at the military academies, and one of the first questions I ask them is, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you have a massive hacking attack taking place in Europe. Who do you wake up in Mexico at 3 o'clock in the morning? Who do you call? And up until now, I think they've starting to create procedures in order to be able to react to that protocols. But what is your experience in Mexico?
Yes. We have two challenges here. One, first, before the 80s, we always talk about the weapon of mass destruction.
Right.
After the 90s, with the born of the internet, we talk about weapon of mass disruption.
Disruption,
not
destruction.
Exactly. That's very, yes.
Exactly. That is a big challenge because now to execute a counterattack or a war, it's going to be cyber. Because with the cyber, you can manipulate the people, you know, like in election systems.
Right.
You can favor one part, another part. And why is that challenge?
And it's relatively inexpensive. I was reading an article that it was
that the
Russians spent what, $500,000 to tip the election and to take over the United States. I mean, that's really not a lot of money.
The distance between us and the East is just one click in 100 milliseconds.
Now, let's go back to what's happening in Mexico in terms of protecting these infrastructures. That you talked about. We're talking about airports. We're talking about the banking system.
What's called critical infrastructure.
Critical infrastructures, the health system, the military communications. I mean, what is your sense? Is there this partnership between the government and the private sector that is that being developed? Where are we right now?
To be honest, and this is in my own perspective, so I don't want to put words in any other mouth, but what I see is like we are working on it. This is a challenge because the internet, everything's moved too fast. In a traditional system, we have everything's what is joined and independent. But now with the internet and technology, everything's became joined and dependent. Completely, exactly, completely opposite. So now we are all together. Our traditional borders disappear. So when we were talking before the 90s, we talk about physical, physical, physical. Now it's all cyber, cyber, cyber. Now, it is really important for companies like Facebook and Google to create the strategic alliances with the government because we know, like if someone wants to do intrusion on our election system, it's going to be, by that way, it's going to be very inexpensive and it's going to turn to benefit of the foreign interests. What we have seen in United States.
And the question is, what is the interest of the foreign interest? Is it disruption? Is it chaos? Is it a certain presidential candidate? I mean, that's what's so fascinating.
I think on the Russian end, what they wanted was basically to show that Western democracy was not in any way superior to their political system, and to show them that that they could be as banana republic as everybody else. And basically, they kind of proved that. So, what should Mexico be doing to make sure that we don't have a Manchurian candidate?
Yes, well, I'm not working for government.
So that's why you can talk.
Well, I'm an independent consultant, but what I can see and what I have been assessing is like, yes, we are working, we are getting ready. We are using previous experience, so what has happened in Spain, in France, and in United States, to create a robust policies for crisis management and incident response, because that is the secret. For example, we know that we have botnets, that we have fake news, but because this came to the speed of the internet and is so fast and so quick that our response has to be equally, has to be very coordinated in between different agencies of government, but also with the private sector, because it's to be a strategic alliance. This problem is a multidisciplinary problem. It's not only you as a government, or me as a society, or you as an enterprise sector, or private sector. Now we need to work together, because the challenge that we have, or that we face, is big. It's really big.
What is the scenario that makes you lose sleep? That you can't.
Yeah.
That
What worries you? What
worries
keeps you up
the
at night,
most?
so to
What
speak?
keeps you up at night? Yeah.
Well, there is many things, right?
Well, and it's not like Agustin Carson said, it's the dogs barking his name. Remember that statement?
Yeah.
But what keeps you up at night?
Well, that we have a big challenge with the internet. Internet has given a lot of opportunities, but it's also a lot of risk, a lot of vulnerabilities that has created. The world that we live right now, it is completely different to the world that we were living in the 80s. Now we have everyone on the same table, in the same space, in the cyberspace. If someone decides to do a cyber attack in our critical infrastructure, it's going to be most disrupted for the economic and the society, like if we have a physical war. And that is a concern, because the cost for the society, the cost for everyone, our economy depends on that.
People go nuts when their WhatsApp is not working. I mean, when there's disruption of WhatsApp, literally people are just like, what? You know, their ability to communicate is completely. I mean, you can make phone calls, and if your cell phone doesn't work, you can call through hotline. But it just seems that our whole life is just kind of revolves, assuming that WhatsApp, that Twitter, that our cell phones are going to work, right?
Ana Maria, I call that the cognitive prosthesis, because when we lose our smart devices,
oh my God,
we miss the connection between society and friends. So what you are saying is really important, because now the internet is becoming the whole matter of prosthesis, principle for cognitive and social. So that is a big vulnerability. In our times, we memorize all the telephone numbers and we know who to call. But now having all this technology.
In your time, I grew up with the internet.
Exactly.
Oh, come on. Oh, yes.
Yes, he's young. He's young.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, that is a problem. But now it's a problem, it's a challenge, but also it's an opportunity.
You know,
super interesting,
you
Israel.
come back, because as this electoral process heats up, and of course, as we better understand the way that hackers, because we're assuming that a government's going to do this. This can just be groups of hackers that have been hired to do, you know, to hack the electoral system, or to hack companies, or to hack the Mexican government. It would be just great to have you come back on the show. Thank you so much.
It's an incredible story, Israel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Agustin, and thank you, Ana Maria. And just to close all this, I do believe, like we as a Mexican, we can work together and we will be ready. I trust the government that is doing the right thing in the cyberspace for what I have seen, and that is good news.
That's a great way to close.
Israel
Thank
Reyes,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Let's
you.
go to. Oh, this was great. Thank you.